In the winter time, it's important that we heat the pump because it can freeze up between filling of trucks. So there is in the winter there will be a propane heater attached to the truck. As you can see, it's mounted on the side of the truck. There is a case that goes over it. Looks like like a huge mailbox. Remove that, and then when you take the heater off the truck, you just slide it towards the back of the pump, just a little ways, and it'll come loose. Lift it off the pump and take it and point it at the back of the pump. There is a propane tank, 20-pound propane tank. In the wintertime, the propane tank is located in the back of the pickup up on the top shelf. On the propane tank, there is a wrench that's needed to attach the tank to the heater. There would be a little cap over the attachment place. Remove that cap, put it somewhere where you can reclaim it. Attach the tank to the heater. You also need electric power to run the blower on the heater. Get an extension cord from the side panel of the pickup truck. Attach that to the pump or to the heater, and hook it to your generator. The generator is located also in the back of the pickup up on the top shelf. Usually it's in the front of the pickup or on the front of the shelf, but it can be almost anywhere up here. Get the generator running. Then all you need to do is turn on the propane tank and turn the knob on the heater on, and it'll ignite by itself when the blower is going. During our normal monthly maintenance schedule, we do check the primer oil, which is located at the back of the pump, and it's a visual check. The engine oil, the dipstick, is located on the motor, of course, but you have to get your hand way in there, pull the dipstick out, and then almost by the Braille method, find the opening again to get the dipstick back in. There is no gas gauge, so the only way of checking the gas is to actually take the cap off the gas tank and visually check how much gas is in the tank. The cooling level is checked again visually by just removing the cap of the radiator on the top of the pump. Visually check it. The emergency light for the pump is located, the switch for it is located on the front of the pump. All you do is pull that out and you have emergency lights. In the wintertime, it's necessary to put antifreeze in the pump so that it doesn't freeze up in going to a fire, and also it needs to be refilled after a fire when you're back at the fire hall. This is done by removing one of the hoses from the pump, turning the connection upright so that you can pour the antifreeze into the pump, opening the valves, both valves, and then slowly pouring the antifreeze into the pump until it's full. We're going to start out this morning by showing you first of all the things that are in the storage compartment on the truck. That's the hose that's used to attach to trucks, mallet, strainer, anchor to keep the strainer in position on the lake, wheel chuck. Make sure you put the wheel chucks on the back of the pump. Make sure that it doesn't accidentally roll into the lake, because sometimes the pickup truck will be disconnected from the pump if it's needed for wildland fires and other situations. That's the ice strainer. If you're in the winter, that's used to stick down the hole of in the ice. Hose clamps, wrenches. Once the pump is in position, the wheel chucks are in. The next thing is to get the hose unwound from the truck. Probably the most difficult chore. It has to be walked around the truck. It's quite heavy. Sometimes it helps if somebody gets up on the storage box and lifts it up over the exhausts. Next, the strainer has to be attached to the hose. It's very important that that connection is airtight. Hence the need for the mallet to secure that. Then it needs to be walked out into the lake deep enough so that you don't suck sand and stones, etc., up into the pump. And there's an anchor attached to that that's thrown out deeper than the strainer is. Make sure when you put the strainer in the lake that the strainer part of the thing is in the water and it floats. The anchor will hold it in place. The next thing is to pull the two hoses from the back of the pump. And pull them out in front of the truck. pull those hoses around the pickup, in front of the pickup.
You want to help on this side, Jordan?
The next thing is to remove the Y from the tongue of the pickup. It's under one of the black covers. And it's attached to the pickup by a storch fitting. Attach the hoses to the Y of the Siamese fitting. Then attach the filling hose to the storch fitting on the Y. On the back of the pickup, on the two discharges, the one discharge has a Y, and to that one open section of the Y we attach a short black hose so that we can run water through the pump while it's not filling a truck, to keep the pump from overheating.
Also mentioned that the protection hose could be fastened there in case of a wildfire.
Now that all the hoses are hooked up, it's time to start the pump and prime it. To start the pump, the first thing is to pull the on-off switch out, then the choke out, and push the starter button. Depending upon the temperature, the choke might be needed, might not be needed. The throttle is the large silver knob that you turn counterclockwise to increase the throttle, increase the RPMs. It's a rather cold-blooded engine, so it takes a little while to warm it up. So you let her run for a little while until it runs smoothly. Increase your RPMs a little bit to up. Once it's running smoothly, then you pull the primer button, or primer lever. Because of the length of that hose, it takes a long time to prime that pump. When it reaches prime, there will be water shooting out of a discharge at the bottom of the pump. You wait for that to happen. You continue pulling on that prime until it starts shooting water. Once it's primed, you open up the valve with the double Y on it, and then open up the discharge on that short hose just to get water flowing. If you get a nice steady stream, you've got a good prime. Once the pump is set up and operating, it's important that you radio the site, the fire site, and let them know that the water site is operational. Once we're operational, and empty tanker trucks will pull in, depending upon the actual situation. Will depend if the truck has to back in, drive in, whatever. But anyways, once the truck is in, then the first thing is to locate the filler site on the truck. Then the cap on the filler site should be removed. All of the tanker trucks for the 3 departments, Webb Lake, Jackson, Scott, have storage fittings at the filling site. So the storage fitting is connected to the truck. The valve on the truck is opened. Once the pump operator gets the signal from the people at the truck that they're hooked in, you close the valve on the discharge, open the valve on the hoses, on both hoses, and throttle up the engine to about 2,000 to 2,500 RPMs. Usually we run it around 2,400 RPMs. And you proceed to fill the truck. The RPMs on the truck are cranked up to between 22 and 2,400 RPMs. The pump then will fill the truck in anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes, depending upon the size of the tank. They vary from about 1,000 gallons to up to 2,500. The truck is filled when water starts to come out, the overflow in the back of the truck or underneath the truck. Usually the driver of the truck stays in the truck. No need to get out. This truck happens to be 1,000 gallons, so it fills fairly quick. Truck is full. You can see water flowing out of the back. At this point, the valves are shut off on the Y. And the pressure relief valve on the truck itself is opened to relieve the pressure on the LDH hose. And of course the valve on the truck is also closed. Once the pressure on the LDH is released, then the storage fitting can be opened. Hose is removed. The cap is put back on the truck. And the truck is set to take off. The relief valve on the pump is opened, again to allow the pump to be cooled while it's operating. Once the truck is filled, then the pump operator, first thing he does is throttle down the engine down to idling speed, closes the valve on the single discharge, opens the valve on the safety or the overflow on the other valve to allow the pump to continue pumping and cooling water flowing through it. At that point, you wait for the next truck to come.